Staying positive with kids can be really challenging. They are constantly doing things that we wish they wouldn't do, and it honestly feels impossible sometimes to find anything good. My kids have been on a perler bead kick lately, and one day as I sat there doing this activity with them, I noticed something really interesting. As I sat there looking at what feels like a million color options, it was actually pretty overwhelming, but when I finally thought about the design I wanted to do and identified the specific color that I wanted to start collecting, the sea of confusion sort of just fell away, and that specific color all of a sudden jumped out at me. As I looked through all the colors, the only thing I noticed was the specific color I was looking for. This is how we are going to solve our problem today. I have 4 easy steps to not only start having positive feelings toward our kid again, but to actually start seeing more of the behaviors that we want to see from our kids. Lately, there has been a lot of stress in our home, and it's felt like a very dark rain cloud is just hovering over us most days. There's just this negative vibe a lot of the time in our home, and I am absolutely fed up with it because that is not the life I want for any of us. I am ready to take matters into my own hands and start enjoying my kids again. So if you feel like your kids are being super difficult, or they just refuse to have a good attitude, or if you are having any negative feelings or thoughts about your kids, I do have a solution. We're going to catch ourselves before we get sucked into the negativity, and we're going to rise above it. Just like with the perler beads, when we choose to focus on and notice that one color, everything else falls away and we actually see more of it. When we choose to focus on the bad behaviors of our kids, we seem to find it everywhere. Have you guys ever heard the phrase, you can't solve a problem by talking about the problem? Same principle. If all we're doing is constantly focusing on the bad, that's all we're gonna see. So I'm going to walk you through how to do the opposite, to focus on the good. So step 1, we're going to identify the characteristic that we are really wishing our kid had more of. You guys know I'm a big believer on focusing on one thing at a time by now, right? So just pick one thing that you wish your kid would do more often. Maybe it's kindness, maybe respect, maybe it's something like creativity or independence. It really can be whatever the pain point is for you right now, or whatever is the biggest complaint about your child right now. Feel free to let me know in the comments below what that is for you right now. I think I am going to choose kindness for my kids. I swear it's a rare occasion that anyone is being kind to each other around here these days. And that right there, my friends, what I just said, is the root of our problem. My bad attitude and negative feelings towards my kids. If we have any hope of stopping this negative cycle, I have to start changing my thoughts and my feelings about this whole situation. So that brings us to step 2, muster some good vibes. I'm just too busy stooping to their level and being critical or being resentful that I am not showing up for them as the kind and loving and patient mom that I want to be. So the task for us, should we choose to accept it, is to try to get to a place where we can feel positive feelings toward our child, whether they have the characteristic we identified or not. So we know that as parents, our job is to love unconditionally, so let's really try to put that to the test. In my case, I would think to myself, how would I feel if my child was so incredibly kind all day long? Well, I would probably feel proud, grateful, confident, calm, very loving, right? List up all those emotions and then try to get there in this present moment, even if they're not being kind right now. Try to convince yourself that those unkind words that your daughter just said to you don't matter. It does not change the fact that I love her and I'm proud of her. Let go of control or disappointment or frustration, all those negative emotions that, as we know, have not been serving us. So we're going to be willing to try something different, right? Are you willing? I'm definitely willing to just try. So have you guys learned or been converted to the principle of sleep begets sleep yet? You might have learned about this when you had a brand new baby or maybe even a toddler. It's just the whole idea that our child, like when our child is getting good sleep, that good sleep is going to bring about even more good sleep. So often it's in regards to their naps. So if your baby or toddler gets a good nap during the day, they're likely to sleep well at night. Basically, a baby or a child who is well rested is more likely to sleep better. Well, we are going to use this same principle with negative attitudes. We're going to remind ourselves that positivity begets positivity. When we are being positive, it's going to bring about more positivity. So, with the ball rolling on our positive thoughts and feelings, step 3 is to now say it out loud. The goal in doing this is to convince ourselves and our child that they are, fill in the blank, in my case, that they are kind. So let's brush up on our knowledge really quick of the self-fulfilling prophecy. Research has clearly shown that whatever we say our kids are is what they become. So they internalize what we tell them about themselves. So if we are constantly telling them, you are so rude, they're going to believe that they're rude, and as a result, they're going to act rude. If we're constantly telling them, wow, you are so kind, they're actually going to rise to that and believe that they are kind, and they're going to act more kind. This principle is very understood, pretty widespread in the parenting world, but for some reason it's really hard to implement. So right now, you and me, we are going to start fresh and use the self-fulfilling prophecy power that we know we have for good instead of for evil. So go back to that characteristic in step 1 that you identified that you want your kid to have more of. So for my kids, it's kindness. And from all those positive feelings that we mustered in step 2, we are going to encourage that attribute as much as possible by sending the message to our kid that that's what they are. But Cassie, how in the world can I tell them how kind they are when they are literally never kind? So to that I would argue, surely there are times when they're kind, right? Surely we can catch a kind moment. But if not, all throughout the day, we are going to look our kid in the face out of the blue and tell them how kind they are. So they're just sitting and playing with a toy, and I'm gonna go over there and look at them and smile and say, you are such a kind boy, or you have such a kind heart, or I just love how kind you are to people. I love what a kind friend you are. I love what a kind sister you are. As many creative ways as you can think of to be sending that message to your kid is going to be great. And maybe you make a list of as many ideas as you can think of and put that up somewhere to remind yourself. Maybe you even set up a little checkmark system and decide you're going to tell them this 10 times a day or 20 times a day. You are just sending that consistent message to your kid. And the thing is, as you're saying it out loud, you are going to start believing it more and more, and they are going to start believing it more and more until it just becomes common knowledge that, of course, they're just a kind kid. And certainly, as they start to rise to that, which you know they will, self-fulfilling prophecy, remember, you'll have more and more opportunities to point out the good, which brings us to our last step, notice and acknowledge the good. So at first it feels like a needle in a haystack, right? Looking for the tiniest glimmer of kindness, that brief moment when they let their baby brother sit by them, or the one request that they actually obeyed. We are going to immediately verbalize what we're noticing and praise our child. We will continue doing the out of the blue comments until there are enough actions to replace those. What we're doing is just creating a new cycle. There has been a lot of negativity, there's been a lot of criticizing and correcting, and we are just trying to switch gears completely into making it positive instead of negative. So let's say they obeyed. You tell them, thank you, I love that you did that right away. If they said a kind word to their brother, wow, I love what a kind sister you are. If they brought their dish over from the table, thank you, you are so helpful. Just notice anything and everything positive that they're doing and just say it out loud. Remember, this is for your sake and theirs. And it will take time, so don't get discouraged. Okay, things might be really so bad that you have got to be a little creative to find compliments. Let's say they didn't follow the bedtime rules last night. The next morning, you can still, first thing in the morning, say, I am so happy you fell asleep and slept through the night. Thank you so much. Or if they hit their brother, but then told him sorry, you can say, great job on giving him such a nice apology. We're just choosing to focus on the good. Remember the perler beads. Find those little blue beads that are suddenly just popping out everywhere you look, ready to be picked up, right? Let all the rest fall away. Our brain really is that powerful. It can change the way we see that same pile of beads or that same array of our kids' behaviors. Those blues have always been there, but it's just now that they're really easy to pick out because we're looking for them. They are now relevant to us, and it's now something that we're focusing on and just choosing to notice. So catch your kids doing some good, notice your happiness increase, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.